Welcome to the Wealth Detective Podcast. Are you ready to become your own wealth detective, to find money in new ways and experience wealth like never before? Well, come along for some wild stories that will teach you, inspire you, maybe even shock you a little bit. And let's get ready to build wealth together. Welcome back and to this week's episode. All right, this is going to be an episode of sharing one of my most vulnerable experiences. So let's just say, buckle up, get ready. And I'm sharing it because I hope that it makes a difference in your life. Because I really, truly believe that when we consciously choose when, where, and how we share specific situations and events in our lives, it can make a really big difference for other people. So here we go. All right. This was an experience in my last retreat in Fiji was May of 2025. And well, that was my last Fiji retreat, not my last retreat. So we had an incredible time. It was, well, Fiji's just one of my favorite places, let's be real. Whenever I go halfway across the world, I'm like, no, we stay for basically 2 weeks, right around 12 to 14 days. Okay. So we've been together a long time. That's sometimes people's biggest hesitations with signing up for my retreats is they're like, that's a long time. I'm like, yeah, but changes happen. So it's so worth it. Okay. I digress. Okay. So we were there, and as the retreat leader, the host, and, filling into the group, I just kept getting this feeling that I needed to do a personal breath session in front of my clients, in front of the participants there. Okay, now, if you have done breath work, it's pretty vulnerable, okay? I am also a person that feels things extremely deeply, and a lot of that deep feeling happens in private with me and just a select few people that I choose to share that with. So people don't technically or usually look at me and think, oh, she feels deeply, but I do. And I know that I do. Okay. So when I had this idea come to me of like, oh no, you need to do a breath session alone in front of them, I was like, oh, hell no, that's not happening. Like, that's ridiculous. This is usually how things happen. I get inspiration and I think, oh, that sounds awful. I am not doing that. And then I let it just sit with me for a little bit. And then slowly the idea will come to me again. And I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe I can think of it as a possibility. Okay. So anyway, this is kind of what's happening. So the retreat is continuing. And here's the thing. Immediately when I got that thought, I knew that it would be powerful. And I knew that it would shift some things. And it really was just figuring out, how could I set it up so that I felt safe enough to show up vulnerably, so that it was a safe and positive experience for not only them, but for me, okay? Because with everything I teach, you are just as important as everyone else around you, right? So for me, even as the retreat host, my safety and my experience was just as important as theirs, okay? So it was, I think, the second to last day, I finally was like, all right, Jamie, we either have to do this or we're going to miss this opportunity because we're here. The retreat's coming to a close. Like, buckle up, babe. We're going to do this. So I had witnessed a similar situation at an event I had gone to a few months prior. So I had seen the impact of that on my, for myself. And I'd also seen how she set up the situation. So basically we gather for our nightly, check-in, and I shared that I'm going to be doing a breath session in front of them. And I said, okay, there's a couple of rules with this. And you know what? The rules are completely leaving my mind right now. And I should have gone and checked my notes, but I didn't. Okay. But more or less it was, well, okay, apparently I don't need to share what rules I put out there. But anyway, but I set a couple of ground rules. Okay. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to start. And one of them just came to me. One of them is that regardless of their response and watching me, I needed them to know that I was okay, that I was safe. Because when we watch other people experience deep, deep emotion, sometimes we're like, I don't think they're okay. Like that is a lot. Okay. So that was one of the things is I was like, no matter what you feel while watching me, trust that I am okay and that I can handle processing what I need to process. Okay. So I get the music set up. I start and, to be honest, it was actually one of the most sacred experiences of my life. I immediately felt this team of angels just surround me in such a safe, trusting, and loving cocoon. And I was able to stay more present in that breath session than I have ever been able to stay present in a breath session. And I've done breath work a lot and I stay present a lot and I process a lot. But this was like a whole nother level, even for me. And I just did, 2 songs. So it was about like 5 to 6-ish minutes, okay, that I did this breath session. And when I finished, I could tell that it was intense for everybody. Afterwards, chatting with my assistant, it was hard to watch, okay? But all the women were beautifully, kept the rules that I had set, and they trusted the process and they trusted me. So after I finished, I looked at them and I said, okay, you're now going to do the same breath session while I hold space for you. I said, but now you have seen fully what it means to feel. And here's the thing, this is a caveat. Not all things have to be hard or crazy or wild or whatever. But there is sometimes this intensity that people avoid because intensity can be hard, but intensity can also be full presence in the moment. And it is actually one of my absolute most favorite feelings in the world because intensity is just full presence. It is totality of being in the moment. Okay. And sometimes that can feel like a lot and can feel a little bit hard. Let's just be real. Okay. But I share that to be like, breathwork doesn't have to be hard, but it can be intense sometimes. Okay. So this is kind of what I prep the ladies for. And as always, with every breath session that I ever host, it is always you choose your intensity, you choose your level, you choose how deep you go. It's your experience. So I start the music and I watched these beautiful women process at deeper levels than I had ever seen them process to that point. And I mean, I'm getting chills as I'm sharing this because it was so powerful. Because here's the thing, I never know what exactly it's going to open up for people or how it's going to change their life. I just know that it will open up and change things. Okay. So we finish the breath session. We, do a little bit of group processing after. By this time it was getting kind of late. So I was like, Kate, everyone, head to bed, do your thing, whatever. Okay. So here's what's amazing. Since returning home, and these are only the things that I actually know of because they're a little bit more public. So there's hopefully a lot more that has shifted for each of them. But since that time, one of the ladies has found an amazing man and got married, which is something that she was really desiring. Another woman, she had really been desiring to travel the world with her husband, and it had been kind of a struggle to get that to happen. The whole rest of last year, she basically traveled multiple times for weeks at a time with her husband all over the world. I've seen multiple of them have their business revenue increase, have health things start to be figured out. Another one has their relationship with their spouse has increased and gotten better. Now, were there multiple factors that went into all of these? Of course. But the main factor was the person, the client. They were willing to do the work. They were willing to feel the things. And this was a catalyst for these big changes. And then they continued to do the work to let these things shift and change and transform their lives. So, all of that to say, have you done breath work? Did you know that it could change your life so drastically? If you've been in my world, you've probably heard me talk about it a lot. But this is why, because this is just one of many stories, not only of my own shifts and transformations, but of many clients that I have seen powerful transformation and changes happen after doing breath sessions. I was recently sharing this experience with someone, and they went on my website, and it was just funny. It was like, okay, I think that might be the direction. Because, I shared all the different things that I do, but they were like, okay, I want to have this shift and this transformation. So if that is something that you are wanting, let me know. Please share with me. Or if you've actually done some of my breath work and it has changed your life, send me a message, because I actually love hearing how it does affect people and change their lives. And here's the thing. Go and do a breath session with the intention of increasing your wealth, of having things with your money change. And let's just see what can happen. I have an entire vault of pre-recorded sessions on my website, and I want you to have access to those. There's actually, I believe it's a month free trial, so you can go and just try them out and see if it even vibes with you, because maybe breathwork isn't the method for you. But it is one of the key things that I do that keeps money flowing into my life, that keeps wealth flowing, that keeps progression moving forward, because it helps to meet yourself, to meet your emotions, to process quickly, deeply, and easily, and all the beautiful things. So go do some breath work. I hope this story illuminated some things for you, helped you to understand why breathwork can be powerful and how to bring more wealth into your life. And we will see you next week. If you enjoyed this episode, there are more tips, tricks, and fun ways to bring in money in my weekly newsletter. Sign up and get all the juicy details every single Monday.